In the details tonight, family of 36-year-old woman who could not trace the whereabouts of her newly born baby boy at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital has threatened to sue nurses in charge at the time she delivered. Brother-in-law Mohammed Sharifuddin says information received at the hospital is contradictory. Hence, they suspect foul play. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Suwaiba Abdul Mumin delivered at about 3 a.m. Tuesday morning at A1 at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. She says the newly born baby boy was shown to her looking healthy from physical examination and subsequently laid in the baby's cot. Moments after, she was told her baby has passed on. She inquired about the body of the baby, which the nurse in charge replied was to be placed in a box and her name written on it for easy identification. Suwaiba was later transferred to A2, a block at the hospital where she disclosed the death to the family. The family insisted they must get the body for burial as Islam demands. All efforts to get the body of the baby yielded no results. Mother-in-law Imafati Adams tells Joynews she was made to pay 5 Ghana cedis by one of the nurses but did not get the body. She said they were later told to wait for the mortuary attendant who would complete the necessary paperwork, after which the body will be released.
No. After the Achira Susu, one way a buyer person was one or a ho, one Wajimano, and there Kayano, Dr. Fonisi or Boa drew a figure. Sajumano, yeah, no more year.
After confronting hospital authorities, the brother-in-law, Mohammed Sharifuddin, was asked to give the woman's name to facilitate the process of identification, but that could not resolve the issue. Later, a dead body of a baby girl was released to them, but the family refused to take the body because they had been told initially that the baby was a baby boy. According to Mohammed Sharifuddin, the nurses at the hospital subsequently informed him that a cleaner has swept the body of the baby together with rubbish and burnt it. The family doubted all accounts of hospital authorities and believed the baby is not dead. Suwaiba Abdul Mumin wants her baby.
Say baby na but o man for baby ni funa an kire me o mo ka say o wu na o mo de kire nwura mu ko to enti me ka say me fa baby no body o mo si o mo ati o mo de be ma me o mo de be to box mu eno anu me hu baby no bi say me nya me baby body so me hu me body na atete say dien kura me pe body no na me de na be fie na ya anya baby de akoto.
Joynews investigations indicates the cleaner, who is said to have swept the body of the baby together with rubbish, is currently in police custody for questioning. Meanwhile, the police is scheduled to speak to the family of the woman.
Back in the capital, after meeting with the University of Ghana Council on Thursday, February 5, the committee is tasked by the Speaker of Parliament to investigate the University of Ghana's decision to charge road user fees has approved the tolls. The two committees agreed the university authorities were well within their right to charge the tolls.
The committee said the University of Ghana Act 2010, Article 23, Subclause 1 and 2 of Act 806 gives the University Council the authority to acquire movable and unmovable property and sell, lease or mortgage to defray costs of that property. This is the deputy ranking member of the Committee of Education told Joynews does not stop the university from charging tolls on users of its roads.
Their decision to build road and toll it is in line with what the Act permits them to do, period. So far as I know, a toll is not a tax. A toll is a money that is paid for service using a road or a bridge. That is what my research has shown me. So as a result, I don't know what the courts will say, and I don't have the right to interpret those things, but it doesn't come under Article 174.
The committees that investigated the decision to charge tolls said it can only be reversed if the $2.3 million being cost of the reconstruction of the roads is reimbursed.
Members of the committee realized that the university was acting right. They were doing the right thing. They were within the act that has been given out to them. So if government can pay off the loan facility, they don't have a problem.
The committees again said the Vice-Chancellor also revealed to the committee the university is now indebted to the tune of 130 million Ghana cedis as a result of a loan of 43 million Ghana cedis used to construct some hostels with the assurance that government was going to pay them back, but that was not done. The committee, which was given 2 weeks within which to report to the House, will give their recommendations to the House either to amend the act establishing the university or direct the appropriate authority to reimburse the university. Still in Parliament, the Speaker has directed that the Inspector General of Police investigates the Kenyasi demonstration, which turned violent, and report the findings to the House for consideration and further direction. The House has adjourned to Tuesday, February 11, 2014.
The Ketu South Municipality recorded 622 cases of new infections of HIV in 2013. For 4 years running, the municipality has topped the list of new infections in the region.
Access to healthcare for people infected with sexually transmitted diseases increased from 20% in 2012 to 50% in 2013. He said victims were mainly drivers and traders who work at the border, patronizing activities of commercial sex workers. He called on the border security services at Aplau to flash out drug peddlers in the municipality. The Volta Regional Director of Health, Dr. Joseph Nwete, illustrated some mechanisms his outfit is adapting to improve healthcare as well as combat TB and HIV.
We are trying to improve upon the case detection. It means that clinicians must be more suspicious towards diagnosing the TB. We say anybody who is coughing for more than 2 weeks, clinicians must let that person be investigated for TB. Hitherto, we've not been seeing this. Clinicians will want to try the person, treat the person for all sorts of things beyond the 2 weeks period. So we are going to focus on that and make sure that people are treated. Then we'll have to have more collaboration with our counterparts, because we know because it's another town, it's likely that some of the cases will also be coming from there. So we want to have more collaboration and interaction with our brothers from the other side of the border.
The Ketu South Municipality serves as the eastern gateway to Ghana, where continuous cross-border trading activities occur. Komlado's report for Joynews.
Well, away from the Volta region, let's go up north now, where the continuous closure of the King's Medical Center in the Kumbungu district of the northern region is adversely impacting access to health care by inhabitants of Kumbungu and its surrounding communities. The management of the facility decided to close down the medical center after the National Health Insurance Authority failed to pay the monies for services rendered to their subscribers for close to a year.
The King's Medical Center is a major health center where over 236 farming communities in the Kumbungu district access health services. It provides most of the basic preventative and curative healthcare services, ranging from reproductive health, maternal and newborn, as well as child health and nutrition services. Communities such as Kuldani, Shini, Toligu and Singa are cut off by the White Volta. Pregnant women who want to seek health care are carried on bicycles for several hours to the White Volta, where they are taken on a canoe ambulance provided by the King's Medical Center to the main facility. With the closure of the King's Medical Center by management of the facility due to the non-payment of claims by the National Health Insurance Authority for services rendered to its subscribers, some inhabitants of the area say they are now left with no option than to resort to self-medication. The administrator of the medical center, Gabriel Otu, told Joynews they cannot open the facility because they are currently unable to procure both consumables and non-consumables to keep the hospital running.
Uncomfortable situation because we serve about 237 communities around here. Some travel beyond the White Volta to access health, and unfortunately for us, 99% of our clients are health insured. It means if you ask them to even purchase drug that is going to cost them 2 cedis, even outside the medicine list, they can't afford.
Maternal health care for many poor women in these farming communities is most likely to worsen if the National Health Insurance Authority does not immediately release funds to the facility to enable it to continue providing services to subscribers there.
Onto the health insurance program and even renew their cards when it expires. So we have really been pushed and we've been following this consistently, chasing from the district to the region to the national, that we are in dire need of funds to run the hospital. As we speak now, nothing has come out of it. So we are left with no option but to close down the facility.
Away from the north again, traders at the Kotokraba market say the delay by authorities in reconstructing the new market is making them lose thousands of cedis. According to the traders, poor security at the current site also causes them to lose their wares to thieves at night. The traders are located at a spot where they were sheltered 6 months ago to pave way for the construction of a new market.
The traders were moved here in order to make way for a new market. Work, which started some 6 months ago, is at a standstill. The traders also complain they lack places of convenience and are compelled to walk long distances. Work on some of the projects at the market site are uncompleted. The contractor working on the project was unwilling to speak to Joynews, but the Metropolitan Chief Executive for Cape Coast, Priscilla Ahen, has confirmed to Joynews that a major demolition exercise is scheduled for March this year to enable the assembly commence work on the main 200 million yuan market complex.
After 3 months starting from January to March. After March, they're going to demolish the main Kotokraba market and then start with it. The little that I can say about the Kotokraba market, the government has finished with its part of the agreement by paying the management and the other fee.
Still in Cape Coast, 2 library projects started in the metropolis have been abandoned. They include the Atamils Research Library and the Cape Coast Children's Library project at the Aquarium Junction, which started over 6 years ago. President Mahama laid the foundation last year for the commencement of the Atamils Library project, which will house a museum and a research center when completed. Residents of Cape Coast who spoke to Joynews on the project hoped government will expedite action on these library projects to help boost education in the area. Georgina Pierce report for Joynews.
Well, the acting head of basic and special schools at the Ghana Education Service, Stephen Edu, has confirmed to Joynews that government has paid all outstanding arrears of feeding fees owed the various special schools in the country. He, however, failed to indicate how much of the Education Ministry's budgetary allocation has been set aside to cater for special schools. He, however, explained the ministry's allocation is still not enough to cater for the numerous challenges facing the education sector.
The special schools across the country are faced with several challenges ranging from infrastructure, congestion to access to teaching and learning materials. Some of these schools have in the past either threatened to shut down or have shut down temporarily due to delays by government to release feeding fees and other subvention packages for the students. In most of such cases, they have had to rely on donations by individuals and organizations to keep the schools running. These delays have no doubt hindered the quality of teaching and learning in the special schools.
The trend is that the schools will send their needs or their budgets to the ministry, and your money is not always available. So as and when government gets money, they pay. So still the government pays, but our concern is that it's not paid promptly, which we are pleading the government to make releases very early.
Though the Education Ministry had the highest budgetary allocation for 2014, officials could not readily say the percentage allotted to special schools.
In terms of the salaries of the teachers and the non-teaching staff, I think we have adequate funding. The problem is the service and then the other money to be able to take care of the running of the schools. That is always what is not adequate. And this year is not very different from other years. They are not adequate. So what we normally do is that apart from the GOG, we also take some development partners have also been very helpful, so that we also carry out some of the activities with the support of the development partners or our donor organization.
But these schools can now have a sigh of relief because government has settled their debt for the first part of their 2013-2014 academic year.
All the checks have been signed, have been released to the schools. So for the outstanding 50% of the first term has been done. Now the second term fees, this time around, we don't pay the money just on the table. It will have to pass through the gift miss, which is the new approach that the Ministry of Finance is using. So the process has started. We have factored everything in it, and we are hoping that very soon that money will also be released.
To complement government's efforts, the Coalition of Concerned Teachers has donated 500 bags of rice to support students in the various special schools across the country.
From the side of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, we want to let our teachers out there know that we cannot enjoy and live the less privileged in society. A lot of things are yet to come.
Some heads of the various special schools present expressed gratitude for the gesture. In the meantime, though, they would have to contend with the other challenges of infrastructure, congestion and lack of educational materials, which they hope government will address in the near future. Yafusua Jemfi, Joynews, Accra.
You're still watching the Primetime Bulletin here on Joy News and also on ABN TV. We'll take a break here. Welcome back. The display of canned foods, especially drinks to direct sunlight, can have serious health implications for buyers. Joy News has been exploring these implications following several food safety concerns over the exposure of prepackaged foods to direct sunlight.
Many people might not be aware of the dangers of exposing canned food to direct sunlight. On a typical visit to markets in the capital, many of these canned foods are seen directly exposed to the sun. Drinks are the most exposed. From one store to the other, we counted variety of drinks openly displayed and at the mercy of the sun. I tried to find out from these traders why they exposed canned food to sunlight. Many of them shied away from the cameras, while other traders say they have no stalls to keep their goods in. Some tell me their stalls are too small to contain all their wares. They, however, tell me they have no idea of the health implications of exposing canned food to direct sunlight. We sought the view of a food expert with the Food and Drugs Authority.
Because of the practice of taking the food from the sunlight, putting it in the shade in the evening and bringing it back, that sort of intermittent heating and then cooling can affect the quality of the food. In some instances, you can have rusting taking place with canned foods because as the temperature goes down, any moisture that is formed in the product will end up rusting the cans. And then as the rust becomes, the effect becomes more and more pronounced, they can create what we call micropores. So you have very tiny holes that are created in the cans, and this will allow gases with microorganisms to enter the food. With the effect of some nutrients, some preservatives, when they are broken down or when they disintegrate, you may have components formed that could lead to cancer.
He further outlined some measures that will help in addressing the situation.
All has to do with infrastructure. Okay, if there is an infrastructural revolution in this country where we are putting people selling in shaded areas, nobody sells in the open sun. Okay, this is eventually this is what it has to come to. You don't put people should not sell in the open sun. It is not done, especially with prepackaged foods. But our shops, people even have shops. They will still want to display drinks and things like that in the sun outside in front of the shop. That is a bad practice. Why don't you keep the food items inside? Let people get in and then pick from there. These items should not be sold directly under the sun. They should be sold in an enclosed facility and at the right temperatures.
He adds the Food and Drugs Authority will continue to play its surveillance role over such practice, but also caution consumers to be careful when purchasing canned foods. Matilda Pamaga for Joynews, Accra.
On to some politics now. The aspiring chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Stephen Ntim, says he is the best candidate to chair to victory in the 2016 elections. Filing his nomination forms at the party's headquarters in Accra, he called on delegates to vote massively for him during the April 12 delegates conference in Tamale.
John Boadu was accompanied by a sea of exuberant NPP supporters amidst drumming and dancing to the party headquarters to file his nomination. He was received by the Director of Elections of the party, who took him through the necessary procedure to enable him successfully file his nomination.
I took my nomination form about a week ago and I'm filing today to send a clear signal to our party people and Ghanaians that the New Patriotic Party that ran this country for 8 years, that saw minimal depreciation of our city as a result of robust economy that the New Patriotic Party developed. Economy that we inherited from $4 billion within 8 years, we managed to send the economy to about $36 billion economy.
Also at the NPP headquarters to file his nomination was the aspiring chairman, Stephen Ntim.
And what I'm bringing on board principally is the rich experience of having been part of the team that worked for the party at the leadership level from 2001 to 2005. That ensured that the party retained power in 2004 under the chairmanship of Harry Nseku and Stephen Ntim as the National Affairs Vice Chairman. This is a unique experience, a feature that the others don't have. Only Stephen Ntim has it in the crop of candidates who are vying for the chairmanship position. That is very, very important because we are looking at winning power in 2016. We are not going to experiment. We want to go and win one touch, not even at the second round. And you go for somebody who has done it before. If you are able to chew calabash, it's a walkover if you want to chew crab shell.
The NPP will hold its National Delegates Conference on April 12 at Tamale to elect new leaders to the party into election 2016. 46 candidates are contesting various positions in the party, including the chairmanship and the general secretary position.
Chairman of the National Peace Council, Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, has charged political parties to rise above partisanship in the interest of national unity. He made these remarks at a reception in his honor as recipient of the 2014 Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Peace and Social Justice. The award by the U.S. Embassy in Accra is a recognition of his commitment to promoting peace and security in Ghana during the 2012 general elections.
The annual Martin Luther Award for Peace and Social Justice was instituted by the U.S. Embassy in 2007. The award honors Ghanaians whose work personified the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by helping build a culture of peacemaking, dialogue, and conflict resolution through a non-violent means. Presenting this year's award, U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Jen Kretz, praised the chairman of the Peace Council for his numerous interventions during and after the 2012 presidential and parliamentary elections in Ghana.
The Most Reverend undertook various interventions in collaboration with other partners to consolidate peace in the country. The interventions included dialogue with the various political parties, engagement with institutions such as the media, the judiciary, the security services, and the Electoral Commission, development of a strategic plan, visits to potential conflict sites across the country, and organization of capacity-building drives and peace campaigns.
Most Reverend Emmanuel Asante, in his acceptance speech, said he has a dream of establishing a country free of partisan politics and ethnicity.
And if our politicians do not rise up above partisan interests, the democratic gains of our country cannot be guaranteed. I equally have a dream for this country. Through the National Peace Council, my dream is deeply rooted in the Ghanaian quest for peace and sustainable development. I have a dream that one day issues of national concern will be discussed on political platforms devoid of political partisanship, ethnicity, and religious concerns. I have a dream that political debates in the future will be grounded in research and thorough analysis and not on emotions.
He challenged political parties to leave above partisanship and put the country's interest above all others.
I have a dream that every government will invest in peace even where there is peace, since prevention is better than cure. I have a dream that every government will identify the features of the conflict and governance nexus in order to strengthen programmatic responses which are conflict sensitive. And I have a dream that one day a government will rise up above political partisanship and patronage to promote inclusive participation of all political parties in the governance process of this country. It is critical for all of us herein gathered to note that development, security, and peace go hand in hand.
Most Reverend Emmanuel Asante is the 7th recipient of the Martin Luther King Award. Previous recipients include distinguished Ghanaians promoting peace and security in their local communities, providing health services to underserved populations, and advocating for victims of human trafficking.
Congratulations to him. And Vice President Kwesi Bekwai Arthur has reiterated government's commitment to improve the welfare of personnel of the Ghana Police Service. According to him, the timely completion of the police hospital project is key to ensuring officers received improved welfare package. He made these assertions in a speech delivered on his behalf by Interior Minister Kwesi Ahoy during the annual WASA get-together of the service in Accra.
The West Africa Security Social Activities, popularly known as WASA, has a long-standing history dating back to the Gold Coast era. It is an occasion when security officers come together, socialize, and make merry. It is also an occasion where police officers are appreciated and rewarded for their hard work.
Year 2013 was very eventful in the field of crime combat, protection of life and property, and also providing policing services that pointed to a paradigm shift from our traditional policing to a state where we expect to be more proactive in preventing crime and reducing the fear of crime. The successes that were achieved in the law enforcement front in the year under review came about as a result of change in strategy by the Police Management Board, commitment and competence by our hard-working personnel, as well as the effective collaboration with colleagues of our sister agencies.
The police service has come in for commendation by the public, particularly for its visibility and accessibility patrol exercise it started in February 2013. This feat has apparently caught the attention of government, hence its promise to provide better logistics for the service to enhance its performance.
The commitment of the Mahama administration to ensure that the police service is adequately resourced to effectively provide desirable policing services as an integral requirement for national development is unparalleled. The government is also not oblivious of the need to raise the profile of police welfare, for a sound mind resides in a sound body, as the saying goes. As such, government is committed to ensuring that the police hospital expansion project progresses smoothly to completion on schedule.
13 personnel who died in the line of duty were posthumously honored at the ceremony. 7 of them died through motor accident, while 3 were killed during encounters with armed robbers.
In a related development, the police service has taken delivery of a new housing facility in the brief ceremony yesterday with the Vice President Kwesi Bekoin Emisa Arthur, who handed over the facility, encouraged the Inspector General of Police not to relent in seeking solutions to the accommodation challenges of the police service. A memorandum of understanding for the project was signed in 2008 between the police service through the Interior Ministry for Gold Keys Properties and their partners to convert 22 dilapidated bungalows into 42 modern apartments at Cantonment. At a brief handing over ceremony, Director General for the Technical Unit of the Service, SP Edupoku, said the three-phased project includes offices for the various departments of the police service as well as other residential accommodation which have already been completed.
We are going to develop our police station, and that is going to give us offices for the district headquarters, office for the MTU, office for DOSU, and office for the district CID. The third aspect of the project to comprise the redevelopment of the lease into modern high-class residential area with complementary commercial buildings. The land was handed over to the developer on October 21st, 2009. The first batch of 3 blocks of 6-unit 3-bedroom flats to accommodate 18 senior police officers was therefore completed and handed over to the Ghana Police Service at a formal handover ceremony on Monday, December 13, 2011.
The 43-bedroom flats are for senior officers of the police service. Ghanaian-owned real estate developers Gold Keys Properties are meanwhile lobbying to develop another police land in the airport area. Vice President Kwesi Bekoin Emisa Arthur reiterated government's interest in further engaging the private sector.
3 observations that I'd like to make. First of all is to say how impressed I was about a Ghanaian investor taking on that responsibility, so that it is possible that if you are innovative enough, you'll find people in this country who are able to provide the service. It is good that we are putting so many officers together so that mobilizing them in terms of emergency is enhanced. So I will encourage the IGP to continue with this process of finding accommodation for his staff. I will support any interesting innovation that comes to the Police Council.
Accommodation remains a serious challenge to the Ghana Police Service, with the various barracks seething with overcrowdedness and dilapidation. Gifty Andropia, Joynews, Accra. So February 14th is considered by many as a day of love, a day of exchanging gifts with loved ones or between lovers. Now, apart from the Christmas period, it is one other crucial date on the calendar when shop owners cash in on customers who purchase the special gifts on sale ahead of Valentine's Day, or Chocolate Day as we prefer to call it here in Ghana. Joynews has been finding how prepared traders are to meet the demands of shoppers.
Gift cards, teddy bears, flowers, hampers, bars of chocolates and other souvenirs have over the years become the most popular gifts given on Valentine's Day. Some shops in the capital are taking stock of these products ahead of this year's celebration, which is just a week away. However, some shops Joynews visited in the capital appear to be going about their routine activities, probably an indication that Valentine's Day enthusiasts should not count on them to make their day special. Surprisingly, shops like this one still have their Christmas decor intact, whilst others like this had started decorating to suit the impending Valentine's celebration. Some shop attendants and owners shared their plans for the season.
Normally, the customers, what they need is the wine, the chocolates, and the biscuits. So I have them in stock for them. When they come in, they want the hampers. I don't mind doing them for them. They normally order. If it's an institution, they will order, then we do it for them.
We have our cars on the rack. We have teddy bears. Our gifts are on the way coming. We'll be having chocolate, local one, and the foreign one. Compared to the previous years, I would say the feeling is not as previous years.
At Placito Limited, the news team caught up with a lady who had decided to start her Val's Day shopping way ahead of time.
Oh, I'm here to search a card for my husband. He has to make sure our marriage be a successful marriage. Yeah. I'm expecting chocolate for my husband.
Though most shops which had stocked up for Val's Day were empty, attendants were hopeful sales would pick up from Monday as the love season gets closer.
Okay, it seems the atmosphere is already exciting. I'm not sure though. Well, that's it. Abigail Adumakwenchi will join me with some business news.
Time now for some business reports with me, Abigail Adumakwenchi. Now, Finance Minister Setekwe has announced that Ghana's development partners who held back their grants have started disbursing the funds, and this is expected to help tackle deficit. He says wages and shortfalls in grants caused overruns in the previous budget as the nation had lost nearly $700 million grant by development partners over the last 2 years. Setekwe also cautioned journalists not to put out information that will cause skepticism amongst the country's development partners.
Go back to the 2013 budget, you will see that we isolated the causes of the overruns, wages, subsidy, the fall in corporate income taxes, the shortfall in grants which persists. Ghana has lost nearly $700 million, or nearly $700 million of grants has not been disbursed by our development partners over the last 2 years. If we were to get that, that is significant. It will probably help, with what, of course, there is discussions with the development partners. As the president noted at Pedrasi, the disbursements have begun, so it's not a dire, situation. So we do take some of these outside commentaries very seriously because Ghana is in the markets, and therefore, the signals that are given by a very prominent market commentator, like Razia Khan, we've also downloaded, a number of comments since some of them we don't agree with, but some are serious ones are the comments, and we take them into account.
Economist Dr. Osaya Sibe says the increase in the Bank of Ghana policy rate to 18% will make cedi instruments like treasury bills attractive, with rates higher than that of dollar assets. Though he believes it will help assuage the falling cedi in the short term, he maintains the new policy rate will make it expensive for people to acquire loans.
Once the policy rate is increased, it is likely to increase the treasury bill rates. And so the treasury bill rate becomes an alternative asset for investment. So instead of people investing in the dollar for speculative purposes, the treasury bill rate will have a higher yield, in terms of return than the dollar. So people will then begin to channel their resources, their monies, their investment into buying the treasury bill other than the dollar. So that can bring some kind of respite in the short term. The other thing too is that once you increase the treasury bill rate, it's a kind of mopping up what we call the excess liquidity in the system. You are tightening up credit. It then becomes difficult for people to borrow from the banking system to change their money into dollars. So the banks will have to then increase their lending rates, which can also have a very, negative effect on the economy as well. But that is the best that the central government can do beyond putting dollar in the system to try to, mitigate the risk.
Well, the Ghana Chamber of Mines says the sector will continue to lay off staff in these difficult times. At a forum for media houses in the Eastern region, the Chamber called for an all-inclusive effort in finding solutions to the challenges confronting the sector.
Environment of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Ahmed Dassana Nantoma, noted the human resource in the mining sector in Ghana is one of the best trained. He also disclosed the industry employs about 20,000 people, 98% of whom are Ghanaians. He said despite challenges, mining companies would continue to live up to their responsibilities.
And it is seen as an easy cash cow because when they say
tax the mining companies. Everybody knows that mining companies pay their taxes. So tax them, and they are taxed, and they continue to pay. But as you continue to tax them, it gets to a point that the companies get choked. They get to their threshold beyond which they are unable to pay the taxes. And then they become uncompetitive. So you can see that the industry has recently been choked with high fees and charges from the MMDAs. Apart from paying taxes to government, we do also pay some taxes to some government regulators. We look at the fiscal regime now in the country has made it very uncompetitive. So realize that some of the exploration companies are leaving Ghana and going to our neighboring countries.
He asked all stakeholders to implement measures to address the challenges the mining companies are confronted with.
Well, the finance minister said Tekwe has registered his commitment to help the central bank fight dollarization, which continues to weaken the cedi. At a roundtable discussion on the economy in Accra, he emphasized that the new Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System (GIFMIS) will bring to book all government transactions in foreign currency. Addressing some managers of the economy together with journalists, Finance Minister Tekwe applauded the new foreign exchange regulations, adding his outfit was also ready to enforce them.
We are enhancing, government financial management through the GIFMIS system. And at the moment, we are able to distinguish within the GIFMIS system foreign contracts from domestic contracts. And so we will be able to track these transactions, and we will know those who flout them, and appropriate sanctions, can be applied. In fact, the measures will be proactive because from the contract database that we are setting up, when an application is brought for a contract, we'll be able to scrutinize because we are now setting up systems, that enables us to monitor these things, in a much better way.
He also mentioned they will heed the call of the MPC to broaden the export base and intensify efforts to block foreign exchange leakages like transfer pricing.
Ultimately, we must increase, our exports. And so you saw that in cases where, say, the price of gold was going up, output went up, and when cocoa went up, and the price was stable, relatively stable, even at when we hit $1 million, you earn more foreign, exchange. So in the long run, it's our capacity or ability, to earn more foreign exchange that would, help resolve the situation. In the short term, you have to look at your imports and exports and what is it that is making, the imbalance.
Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Millicent Na, however, debunked arguments that the central bank has been sluggish in dealing with the depreciation of the cedi.
It's just what is happening on the global financial scene, where the tapering is actually taking effect, and there are reversals in capital flows from emerging markets. So there's need to react to these, movements in capital flows. So by increasing the policy rates, the import of that is that we're making domestic assets more attractive. So those dollar holdings will naturally convert into cedis for investment in the local money market.
He explained the new measures will release forex onto the market and increase liquidity. Millicent now also assured that Visa cards will not complicate the new regulations as they are all to settle clients in the domestic currency, including MasterCards, whose transactions will be done through GH Link. And that's it for business. I'm Abigail Adumakwinchi.
Let's quickly pick the headlines in sports. Television right holders of the Ghana Premier League Super Sports have initiated attempts to help develop the competition's television broadcast to world-class standards. The move is expected to whip more interest from sponsors and fans and also develop the standard of the league. Stanley Matthews, a renowned marketer and promoter of football, is leading this attempt.
But we also have to work very hard on the product off the field, the commercial aspect, the professionalization of clubs, facilities, the match day experience, media, marketing and sponsorship, so that all clubs, not only 20% but 100% of Ghanaian Premier League clubs should have sponsors. I think we see the raw ingredients and we see the passion of the Ghanaian football, the public, the administrators, but we now need structure. We need to make sure that the right structures are in place in the clubs for them to be able to deliver a world-class television product, to make sure that they can deliver a world-class match day experience for the fans that talks to infrastructure and capacity building, and this is all part of that process.
Now, the football pitch at the Crossport Stadium is gradually returning to its original green state after months of taking on a yellowish outlook. The pitch in recent times was in a dilapidated state as the grass dried up due to acute water shortage in the Greater Accra region. Joy Sports went back to gauge the progress of the pitch. They found these problems.
Managers of the stadium, the National Sports Authority, have come under heavy criticism lately for the deplorable nature of the edifice, which was heavily refurbished when Ghana hosted the 2010 edition of the African Cup of Nations. Most of the metal railings at the venue have rusted and is a danger when the 50,000-seater capacity stadium is heavily packed. The scoreboard, which was reported faulty some 2 years ago, is still yet to be repaired. The major talking points among the massive deterioration now is the field. For a long time, the grass was left without water, with the Sports Authority attributing the situation to the lack of water in the Osu metropolis, where the stadium is situated. After a series of reports by Joy Sports, 2 boreholes were dug to provide water to the facility. With the availability of water now, it is however disturbing how the grass is watered. The operator on duty needs to apply some pressure on the device with his foot before it starts working. While it is working, the operator then uses his hands to direct the water to portions of the field where the water is needed. Investigations by Joy Sports have revealed managers of the field, Green Grass Technology, are allegedly paid 77,000 Ghana cedis every month for maintenance of all the 4 national stadia in Ghana. The Ministry of Youth and Sports is also to provide some percentage of the funds needed to maintain the nation's stadia, while the National Sports Authority must also generate some revenue to augment what they get from the ministry. So, where lies the problem?
The 2014 MTN FA Cup enters the round of 32 this weekend with 10 matches across the country. Here's what to look forward to this weekend.
13 teams will be looking forward to progress to the next stage of the 2014 MTN FA Cup after this weekend's round of 32 matches kick off at 10 venues across the country. Asante Kotoko, Brekum Chelsea and Mediama SC have already qualified to the round of 16 after winning their respective matches. The top liner of the pack is the All-Premier League battle between Hazakis and Liberty Professionals, which will be keenly contested at the Esipon Stadium in Sekondi. Tema-based Inter-Allies would host Nanya FC at the Tema Park in another must-see encounter. New Edibiase travel to the west to take on Takwa United at the Takwa and Aboso Park. In other matches, Premier League giants Ash Gold host Dampot FC in Obuasi. At the Bibiani Park, Gold Stars will welcome Kotoku Royals. Red Lions take on Feyenoord Academy at the Linclear Stadium, while Tudu Mighty Jets travel up north to face Bolga All-Stars. The Esipon Stadium will come alive once again when Metro Stars play host to Tema United, with Sampa United and Okui United wrapping up the weekend's action at the Sampa Park.
That's your sports. My name is George Adi Jr. Gipsy joins us with some more. Have a good night.
Sports was... Well, we've been telling you about wearing sunglasses in the midst of darkness. Well, take a look at this report.
Every now and then, when you find yourself at a concert, club, TV or radio station, you are likely to see some of our Ghanaian celebrities in dark glasses, irrespective of the time of the day. Ask them why they wear these glasses and you will get different responses. Some will tell you it's part of their branding. Others will say they wear them because they are shy. And yet, others will tell you it's a fashion trend.
Are you a shy person? I'm incredibly shy. I'm painfully shy. I think sometimes my shyness can be so annoying. Is that why you're wearing the shades right here? The shades actually goes with my ensemble, and it's not really the reason I'm wearing the shades. I don't try to cover up my face because I'm shy. No, it's just I picked the whole thing together just really because I thought everything together made sense. Yeah.
I think I look good in shades, and too, I'm most of the time camera shy, and when I'm in shades, you don't see my eye movement. And at times, too, when you're going somewhere, to avoid eye contact, at times you look at things that you don't want people to see you're looking.
But is that all there is to it? Dr. James Drea is an optometrist. He explains that wearing sunglasses at night and in enclosed spaces, even though may seem cool and fashionable, could have long-term effects.
The primary objective for wearing sunglasses is for protection. It also for cosmetic reasons. One can decide to wear sunglasses. But the issue of wearing sunglasses in the dark, yes, it doesn't really achieve any objective unless one wants to mask his appearance. Yes, which I guess most of these celebrities do. Yes, because there's no sun in the night, and I'm not sure they are exposed to high energy visible lights. So for that reason, I don't recommend them wearing sunglasses in the night. No.
Some people also shared with us what they think about our celebrities who wear sunglasses or shades at night.
It's awkward. How can you wear shades during night? So shades are supposed to be worn during to prevent the sun from your eyes. It's not good. They should stop it.
Most of them wear shades at night. Probably they can't look at the crowd and stand the crowd. They need composure, kind of. See? So some that wear at night is not like it's style, kind of, but they can still look at the crowd and perform. So they want to be themselves. They don't want to see anybody around. They want to do something like there's nobody there.
We can only hope that our celebrities will stop hiding behind their dark frames, especially at night, irrespective of their reasoning.
Well, that's it for the bulletin. Our top stories again. After meeting with the University of Ghana Council, the committee is charged by the Speaker of Parliament to investigate the decision of the university to charge toll for users of its road, said it does not flout any law. The acting head of basic schools at the Ghana Education Service, Stephen Edu, has confirmed government has paid all arrears of feeding fees of special schools in the country. The aspiring chairman of the NPP, Stephen Tim, and aspiring national organizer, John Boydu, have both filed their nominations ahead of the national executive elections in April. In business, the Minister of Finance, Seth Tekpe, said government is committed to fighting dollarization, which continues to weaken the cedi. He was speaking at a roundtable discussion on the cedi in Accra. I am Gifty Ando Apia. Many thanks for your time. In the meantime, Nanan Sakwao is standing by with PM Express. Do have a good evening.